I love this church because of the pastor and the people.
It was just, hey, what's up? How you doing?
We're all friends and we're all very close. It doesn't matter if you have a sports background or a drama background or a band or whatever.
If we have a new facility that's just for youth, that's the youth location, it's going to be a lot easier to say, hey, I don't know what you got going on Sunday night. You've got to come see this place we've built. It's amazing. We've got everything you can imagine. It's the setup to come see. Yeah. And I think the pride that they will take into their building will be so much more than we have now.
Hey, Abiding Harvesters. Can you imagine with me what God's next might look like? Who would have imagined some 15 years ago when we started this church that we would be where we are today? We started with folding chairs and a garage in a place we lovingly call now the Corvette Cathedral. And yet through the years, God has done so much. Who could imagine God would use us to be the ones that are at the center of a defeat of a casino that wanted to come into this community? But we stood our ground. Who would have imagined that we would build a church in Honduras, build a dormitory in Belize, build a house just across town in West Tulsa, send couples to faraway places like China and Kenya and India and Nepal? Who would have imagined how God would use this church to make over 100 professions of faith in the last few years? In 15 years, God has done so much, but He's not done yet. Just a year ago, we were surprised by a gift of $1 million. God seems to be saying to this church, remember who you are. You are an abiding harvest, a living harvest, a lasting harvest, and I am not through with you yet. In this time when things seem to be getting darker, God is empowering us to be a penetrating light in our culture. Can you imagine a generation ever more at risk than the one that God has called us to serve in this time and in this day? God isn't finished with Abiding Harvest. Can you imagine what God's next might look like?
Here at Abiding Harvest, we are expanding our facilities to include a multi-activity center. We have taken time to imagine God's next, and we are preparing to add a facility for reaching more children and youth and other growing ministry opportunities. Our multi-activity center will be located on the east side of our current building. We will continue architectural elements that match our current facility. The exterior will have a small courtyard for gatherings in between buildings. There will be a garage door that can be opened up to allow for crowds to flow in and out of the building during special events. Inside, there will be a multi-purpose gymnasium for sports, special projects, outreach events, and a stage for worship and teaching. Other uses of this area may include banquets, wedding receptions, and other special events. Our youth will have dedicated areas too, with the second-story mezzanine and game area for just hanging out while playing a game of pool or foosball together. Downstairs will be a gathering space for teaching time, discussion groups, and a place to study after school. It will be great for them to have a place to call their own and to do life together. We are excited as we imagine God's next to reach our community in a fresh new way here at Abiding Harvest.
This is the time. This is a God thing. It's in God's plan. It's not something we just created and said, hey, we want to do this. I think you can see God at work in this whole process and this whole decision. And with that seed money, it just makes it so perfect to start doing this now.
I just think praying about it and giving financially is going to be the best thing for it.
You know, this is a great facility as it is, and that is in thanks to the people who started the church with Pastor Chris. I believe that we now have that same responsibility to help those in the future grow this church and step out in faith to make that happen.
What a privilege it is to be a part of what God's doing, to be a part of that together. This building's going to be a great tool for our future, but it's just a tool. It'll be a place and a tool through which we can continue to be an effective ministry to one another and to our community. But how do we get there? How do we go from where we are now to the future? What's your part in this plan as we move forward? That's what we need to be discerning. That's what we need to be praying about. That's what we need to be acting upon. I remember the story of William Barton from not too long ago. We shared it on Sunday morning. A missionary, a millionaire, a graduate of Princeton and Yale, had given his life to be a missionary in the East. He never got far. At the age of 25, he died of encephalitis on his way to the mission field, but it was found in the flyleaf of his Bible, these simple words: no reserves, no retreat, no regrets. Folks, if we live like William Barton, we will seize this opportunity and every opportunity for God for all we can make it. I want you to consider with me over the next several days, several weeks, this season in our life, a discernment process called SALT. First of all, let's surrender to God. Let's be who we are as disciples of Christ and give all that we are and all that we have back to Him and just lay it on the altar. And then let's ask. Let's ask God, Lord, of what I have, what do you earmark for this campaign? How do you want me to invest to see that this comes to pass? And then listen, L, listen. Listen for God's answer. If you ask, He'll be responding. Listen with one another. Talk about it in your family. And then finally, take action. Make your 3-year pledge. Let Him be your partner. Let Him be your guide. Let Him be your Lord. With no reserves, no retreat, and no regrets. I hope you'll join me and so many others in what we can't do separately, maybe in what we can't do even together, but what we can always do with God's help. Join us in God's Next.